Hi, this is Mark with Simplify CNC. Today I'm going to show you how to make these rings that go through a notebook. The clasps are customizable. You can tailor them to the audience that you're trying to create interest, whether that be those that love dogs, love the cats, love dolphins, love cooking. It's a great little project. It's low-cost materials, creates a lot of value. If you take one of these notebooks out in public, go to a coffee shop, they're going to see it, they're going to comment on it, and the next thing you've got business for your CNC. It's got some tips and techniques that you're going to want to hear. You want to use this. It's a great gift to give away. Hope you enjoy it. A picture of the clasp that we're going to be making up close. If you can see that it's a little fish design. On one side, we've got solid cherry. It's got a pocket that we've cut in to take this wooden clasp, or actually I'll call this a clasp, I'll call this the wooden ring. And it just pops in like so, friction fits. So it can be popped on and off. And then when you want to put it back together, just line it up, squeeze it, and it's secure. If you want to make it permanent, put a drop of glue. You've got a face that you can go ahead and glue against. Super easy to make. It's got some tricks that you're going to want to hear about though. And of course, you can always customize these however you want. And think about what this would be like if you linked a whole bunch of things. Say you're doing goals and you want to set a way to mark that you're progressing along with your whatever goal that might be. You can have your motif of a runner, a finish line, whatever you want along the way that's going to motivate you. And you can link upon link upon link. I think it's awesome.
What to do is we're going to create a new file. And I'm going to go ahead and use millimeters for this, but you could use inches if you like. And I'm going to make 100 millimeters by 100 millimeters. And we'll just make the thickness. It's a 1/4 inch board. So if you don't, haven't memorized what a 1/4 inch is in millimeters, you can use this trick. If you type in 0.25 times m and hit equals, it will convert it. So it's 6.35 millimeters. So that is the depth of the board that I'm using. And by the way, if you did want to put something in inches, you can do the same thing, only you go times I equals, and it would convert this out. So if you're setting it up, zero position, we want on the material surface. For our purposes, I normally would have the datum down in the bottom corner, but for this, because a lot of times you just want to cut these with a tiny scrap piece of board, it's actually easier to put the datum right in the center. And that way, if you have a tiny, tiny board or a little tiny corner of a board that's not being used, you can go ahead and just hover your bed over the center of that portion, and you can utilize it without having to, use your main board. So I'm going to go ahead and set the datum for the center here, and we're going to go ahead and click OK. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a ring. And to do that, we're going to first create a circle. The circle, we'll go ahead and set I'm going to do it with the diameter rather than the radius. I'm going to do a diameter of 40 millimeters. And we're going to go ahead and hover over our center point of our board. And go ahead and close that out. So we have our circle drawn. Let's take this circle and let's go ahead and expand it out. So I'm going to go on the offset and layout tool. I'm going to go to the offset tool. I'm going to go both directions. Let's go ahead and keep the center circle for right now. It's going to be useful to us. So I'm going to go ahead and hit offset. And so what we've got is 2 millimeters out this way we have a circle, and 2 millimeters this way we have a circle. And now we're going to create our little division. So this is 4 millimeters total that we're going to have, but it's useful to keep that center point, and here's why. Because what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to create our little round puzzle piece that we're going to be clipping into the clasp of our ring. So if you go over to circle here, and we're going to have this time we're going to use a diameter. We don't want 4, we need it more than that. We're going to use a diameter of 5.5 millimeters. And we're going to come over here, and we're just going to kind of roughly get it in something like that, like so. And I'm going to go ahead and click close. Now, let's go ahead and go to the node edit mode. And actually what we're going to do, let's click on the central circle. I'm going to delete that central circle out now. And because we want symmetry for this whole thing, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to divide this up so that we can get a perfect reflection on the other side. So I'm going to take this circle and we're going to mirror it to the other side. So if we go to our mirror tool, go ahead and select the circle we just created, hit the mirror tool. We want to go down and we're going to flip it vertically, create the mirrored copy. And when you see that, we've got a perfectly mirrored copy of these two, which is what we're looking for. So we're going to go ahead and hit close. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to start clipping this out. So we're going to go to our interactive trim tool, and we're going to trim some lines here. Trim, trim, zoom in, trim, trim, trim. And then we're going to go up here, and we're going to go trim, trim, trim. So we have something that looks like that. Now we need to make our clasp. You can make it as simple or as complex as you like. But it is very useful if we make it first, make sure all this is joined together. So we're going to validate our vectors. And it looks like everything is closed. Search selected. We've got all closed. So our ring is perfectly set up, and it's got a little margin here to catch. And so now we need to create our central clasp that this ring is going to insert into, that is going to hold our notebook together. So let's go ahead and go to Edit Objects, get our selection mode, and we're going to click on this twice. We're going to right click, and we're going to copy to a new layer, and we can just leave it as called layer 2 for the moment. Now I'm going to go ahead and make layer 2 active, and we'll leave layer 1 alone for the moment. That's kind of our, in fact, let's rename layer 1, just call it master. Call master ring. So with making sure layer 2 is active, now we're going to create a clasp. So let's make it as, let's do the first one as simple as possible. So I think it's handy for purposes of machining if we shift this out of the way for the moment. So I'm just going to shift it over here, and let's go ahead and make whatever we're going to cut for our ring, and let's apply, close. So if we select this, we drag it over, you can see that what we've got is that we can machine this out. We're going to carve out in here a pattern, but before we do, it's useful to make a copy of this. In fact, we're going to need one. So I'm just double clicking on it, hitting Control. You'll see why we did that in a second. Want to take this inset out. There's an easy way to do that. We can go down here to Edit Objects, and we can subtract, and it's a second selected vector from the first. So we want to select this ellipse first, and we want to select our ring second. And then let's go ahead and go back over here and let's click on it. And look what transpired. Lo and behold, we have cut our slots. I'm going to move it over. Actually, I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to move it directly over the top. We're now just about ready to cut out all our parts, but we're going to do a little trick. I moved the ring to another layer called ring cutout, and what we're going to do is we're going to shift this over to another layer, and we're going to size it down ever so slightly because that'll make our gaps fit easier, and we won't have to do as much cleanup as far as getting this to fit into the clasp easily, and it's easier to size this down ever so slightly than and then it will fit inside. So let's go ahead and select this. I'm going to right click. I'm going to copy to layer. I'm going to put a new layer, and I'm going to just call this ring. Ring 99%. Go ahead and click OK. And I'm going to go ahead and switch over here. So make sure we have it. Now we're going to go ahead and take that ring that we have. We're going to go over to the left-hand side, and we're going to scale this. And not surprisingly, we're going to scale it to 99%. So we've got a lot of different options here, but we want to go over here and make sure we are on percent, and make sure our X and Y are linked. And we're going to go 99. And we're going to click apply. And you could probably just barely see that. It's just taking a tiny bit off, and it will shrink down this. It'll also make this circumference just a little bit tighter, which is fine because we actually don't mind to have a little squeeze and pull back on our joints. So we've got that set, and now let's go ahead and cut that out. So if we go into our toolpath tab, let me get out of here. So we're going to go into toolpaths, and we're going to select our vector. Sorry, I'll pin this up so it's not hopping around. Our start depth is going to be 0. We're not going to cut this out of our standard board, which was a 1/4 inch thick. We're actually going to cut it out of laminated plywood, and the laminated plywood that I have has a walnut layer on both sides, and it's only 3.3 millimeters thick. So I'm gonna put the laminated or the depth of the plywood 3.3. This gives a lot more strength on your clip because you don't have one directional cross grains. You got it alternating throughout the structure. I've selected an inwale of 3.175. We're gonna do an outside pass. I did 5 passes. And we definitely need some tabs on this. So we're going to add some tabs, and I've already got them added in here, but to add tabs, if you don't know how to add tabs, if you click on it, you go to the edit tab button. If you already have one there and you want to get rid of it, you just click it. If you want to add it, you put it in. I like to put the tabs in here on the axes, like so. So we've got our tabs added in. I'm actually going to edit those one more time. I don't think we need a length of 6 millimeters. I think 4 and a thickness of 2 is more than sufficient for what we're doing. These are going to have to be sanded off, so you don't want to make it any more work than you have to. And I think we're set there. And so I'm just going to call this ring 99%. And we're going to calculate. I'm going to reset preview, and then preview visible paths. Now, the way it's on here, it's not showing it go through, but remember the board that this is actually going to be cut on is going to be just a little shy of the depth of this cut here. So it actually will go, and the only thing that will be left are the tabs. So that path is taken care of. And now we need to go ahead and set our paths for the clasp that is going to overlap between here and here. So let's go back to our original model. And I'm going to go to clasp in the 2D view. pull this out. We don't need this. So it's kind of hard to see what we've got here. Let me pull this apart. So really what we have is a central ellipse, and then we have our pocket. And what we want to do is we want to take our 1/4-inch board and we want to go down here so that this is cut out, so that the holes right here are going to be our 3.3 millimeters. Okay. And then this will cut around the outside, and that way there'll be a small layer left. And so let's go ahead and scoot this back over. We want to make sure that that is centered, and it looks like both these need to shift over. So let me turn off geometry snapping for the moment. And we've got that centered now, and we also want to make sure our other part is centered as well. So let's see if we can get a hold of it. And it wasn't quite on the center line. So we've got them both centered now. And it's a little tricky because they're obviously overlapping, but the first one we want to get is this one. So if I click on the inside tab, we're going to go and we're going to cut a profile path around the line there. So we're going to go over here, and we've got a profile pass depth, and we're going to do a start depth of 0. And actually, we want to go 3.2 because the other one had a little excess on there. Let's actually go 3.25. So ever so slightly greater so that we know we can make it flush. Then we're going to use the 3.175 in mill. We're going to do this in 5 passes, and outside and right is the correct orientation. We shouldn't need any tabs for this first one, so I'm just going to leave the tabs off there and then we will go ahead and calculate this, and I'm just going to call this ring I'll call it ring pocket. Calculate. Set preview all, and so you can see it's created that. Now I'm going to go back, go to the 2D, and we're going to try to get a hold of this other one. So I'm going to click on this line now, and just to be safe that we don't hit something as we go around, we're going to go ahead and start at 0, and we're going to profile this all the way down to the full depth of our board, which is a 1/4 inch. So 0, and then I'm going to use board height, which I can just put in a shortcut of Z plus I always go 0.1 millimeters more, hit equals. So 6.45, I'll use my InMail. You're going to have your own feeds and speeds that are appropriate for your machine. Always follow those because you can break a bit and you can damage your machine or cause an injury. So use appropriate feeds and speeds. We're going to cut around the outside of this, and we do need a tab here. So I'm going to add tab. Let's make the length 6.0 millimeters. And you can see I already actually have it on here. So if I edit tabs, if I hover over, if I click it once, it'll take it away. If I click it again, it'll put it on. So we're good. We've got our tab, and we're good on ramps. And we'll just say, I'm going to call this ring cutout. Oops. And we're okay that it cuts through. We want it to cut through. And let's just look at those 2 paths together. So reset preview. Let's do that little pocket first. Preview visible. Oops. So let's try this one more time. Let's do the ring pocket. Preview visible tool paths, and then let's go ahead and go and do the ring cutout. And preview visible tool paths, and I won't reset the preview. When you do, you can kind of see that we've got this, and of course this is going to be what's going to hold in our part, and we can glue the the ring down on that flat face. So we add added strength. And if you remember, since we sized down the ring to 99%, that should make it so it has a little bit of slip room there, but not a lot. Just enough to squeeze it into the opening. So that should be what we need. Let's go ahead and close out of here, and we'll go cut it on the machine.